Welcome back to Good Morning Let's Basketball. Here's another episode in season 1, game 11, with my hosts Daniel and Kevin. So we're going to be talking about NBA playoffs. Celtics just blew out the 76ers last night, and it was a disappointing loss for the 76ers. I think they're going to make some big changes in that whole team as well. It was embarrassing for Harden. It was embarrassing, especially for Embiid. And not to mention Doc Rivers. I think he should probably retire as a head coach. I think his head coaching is probably done now. I don't know. Just blowing all those 3-1 leads is kind of crazy. I think that's his 10th blown. His 10th blown lead. It wasn't a 3-1 lead. I think it was a 3-2 lead. But overall, I think he should go away from coaching. But what do you guys think about that series?
Well, Philly being up 3-2, I didn't think that they were going to take home the series just based off of Philly's history. This process shit's been going on for about a decade now. I think that process should just be over. That's what happens when you sign guys like PJ Tucker and expect to win a championship. But, I can't even talk about PJ Tucker like that. Dude was actually balling yesterday. I think he hit like 3 or 4 threes. But yeah, pretty upsetting for the Sixers. But, Boston's just too good of a team to be able to be in a game 7 game series. They play Miami now in the conference finals, which is a repeat of the bubble year and a repeat of last year as well. As good as Jimmy Butler has been playing, I definitely don't really see Miami advancing to the NBA finals, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to see it. Like I said, Celtics are just way too good of a team. I think Celtics probably take that series in 5 or 6. I'll probably say 5, though. But yeah, Celtics, I think, are going to go back to the finals. I think they're going to end up facing off the Nuggets and Lakers, and also another repeat of the bubble year. Just a repeat of the conference finals from the bubble year. Shows that that the bubble mattered. It wasn't a Mickey Mouse ring as much as you guys may want to believe. Been saying that it counts, but who am I to say? Yeah, so that Nuggets and Lakers series, I don't think the Lakers win that as much as people would want them to. I think it'd be kind of cool to see a Lakers Celtics series, classic NBA final series, but I think this is finally the year the Nuggets actually get it done. They just have way too good of an offense to lose, I think, as well as their defense has been playing very well too. AD has been playing out of his mind, but I don't think he's going to be able to hang around with Jokic, especially the way that the Nuggets played the Lakers this season. When they played the Lakers a lot, Jokic played a lot in the mid range because it takes Anthony Davis out of the paint, and so we can't really protect the paint that much. And the Nuggets are really good at cutting and reading screens and hanging around the 3-point line. And I don't think the Lakers are going to be able to stop that. And they're definitely not going to be able to stop it with Anthony Davis not sitting in the paint because he has to guard Jokic out in the mid-range and even the 3-point line because Jokic can hit those shots. So I definitely do think we're going to see a Nuggets Celtics NBA Finals. Mark my words. I think that's going to happen. It's going to be a very interesting finals. I don't know who's going to win that, to be honest. I think it's going to be a great series, but I think the Nuggets will finally get it done. Jokic will get his ring finally in the year that he doesn't win an MVP. But yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts behind that.
Yeah, I think you should keep those your thoughts off of the podcast. No, yeah, I really like the Celtics' chances beating the Heat. I think ESPN pulled it, and it's 97% of a chance that the Boston Celtics will advance and 3% chance that Miami will advance. I think if there's one thing that Jimmy Butler has proven is that on his best day, he can lead that team to a better position than they were in the day before. That being said, I don't know. During the course of this last Celtics series, I was kind of talking shit about Jason Tatum, and I was really talking shit after that game 5, I think it was, right? Where he scored 9 points or something like that. He just had an atrocious game. Or no, sorry. It was that he scored 3 points or 9 points in the first 3 quarters and then 17 in the fourth. Which, it was impressive, but to me, as somebody that kind of doesn't really love Tatum, or not even doesn't love Tatum, but just thinks that other players on that Celtics team deserve more credit, I was kind of like, okay, talking my shit, and then he goes out the next game and scores 50 or 51. So I can't even really talk shit on Tatum anymore. He's good, and I think probably who comes out of that side is definitely the Celtics. On the Western side, I think the Nugget. I honestly think you're wrong. When it comes to the matchup that the Lakers have against Jokic, I think if the Nuggets have any chance of beating them, I think their best bet is playing through a really confusing offense in a way. I think that Jokic will not have any major, successful nights that are where he's scoring 30 or anything like that. I think he'll still hold himself to like 15 or 20 with 10 rebounds or 10 assists or whatever it is. But I don't know. I think the Lakers match up really well with them, and I think AD has been playing out of his mind as a defender. I don't know. I just see him being able to lock up Jokic.
Yeah, so clearly you didn't listen to anything I just said. With Jokic hanging around in the mid-range and three-point line, AD can't guard him out there. He plays like he has Timberlands on. He can't really move that fast. Neither can Jokic. But he kind of plays defense like you. But so with Anthony Davis being out there, that really opens up that paint because LeBron's not going to be guarding in the paint as much, obviously, because he's probably going to be guarding either MPJ or Aaron Gordon. They like to hang around the three, as well as being active on cuts. And that is going to hurt the Lakers a lot, like I said. I mean, AD's been getting like 12, 13 plus rebounds a game. I definitely do not see him getting that many rebounds. I'm sure he will have a game where he gets 15 plus rebounds. Of course, he's AD, he's a great player. But, Jokic is a great player as well. He's better. He grabs as many boards as AD. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting how they play it. I think another thing approach that I would like to see the Lakers make to make it a little bit more competitive is probably sticking LeBron on Jokic and then having AD or Hachimura guard Aaron Gordon because I can't remember what team played the Nuggets like that, where they had their big guarding either Aaron Gordon or MPJ and then like a more athletic player guarding Jokic. But that being said, I definitely do not think that LeBron will be able to keep up with Jokic either. I mean, it is LeBron, he's good, but he can't move like he used to. And Hachimura definitely cannot keep up with Jokic either. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a great series, but I got Nuggets in 6.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series between the Lakers and Nuggets as well. Jokic is basically playing basketball as a side quest, showing why he should have won MVP over Embiid. And I got the Nuggets coming out against the Lakers, but it's good. Lakers are gonna make it tough for them. They haven't beat or no, they haven't lost at home since like March 26th. I just saw something on ESPN saying that today. And for the Eastern side, I got the Heat coming out. I think Jimmy Butler and the Heat want it more than the Celtics. It seems like this playoffs. I feel like Jason Tatum, yeah, he had that good game 7 against the Sixers yesterday, but I don't know. I just think that the Heat want this title more than anything. And if the Celtics want to go to the finals, Tatum has to be playing good. They're losing when he's not playing good, so we'll see how this goes out.
I got Lakers in 5 on the West. And I really like your point about Heat wanting it more because I think you are onto something there. It just seems like this Celtics team is a little less organized or a little less together than as they were like last year. And if Tatum isn't able to drop 50 or 35 on a good night, like you said, it kind of seems like that team falls apart. So it'll be interesting to see if Jimmy Butler can pull them by their bootstraps and lead them to another finals.
Yeah, I think the main thing with the Celtics is just that consistency. They've been struggling with their consistency all year pretty much, but feel like they're not new to this scenario. I mean, they made the finals last year. They definitely have that experience. So do the Heat. They've made a couple deep playoff runs the past few years as well. But at the end of the day, who wants it more definitely plays a factor. But at the end of the day, talent. And the Celtics just have a lot more talent than the Heat, just all around. If the Celtics role players, I feel like it definitely relies on a lot on them as well. Derek White, Smart, and Robert Williams have been playing very well. So I think if they can keep it up, then I feel like they shouldn't have a problem with the Heat. But, the playoffs have been crazy so far and anything can happen. And they beat them in the bubble year. So I definitely think they can do it again. And they took them to game 7 last year, but it's not the same Heat team. They're not as good as they were last year. But, all we can do right now is talk about it. We're just gonna have to wait and see, you know.
But
What
just really quickly on your bubble point, man, I don't like how everybody's saying this. Oh, it's the same four teams from the bubble. All these teams are different. Like, yeah, it's the same four teams that came to the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't think it's gonna play exactly how the bubble played out. And it's just not like I don't know why people are comparing this to 3 years ago. The bubble ring counts, sure. All right. But like this is a different these are different teams. We can't compare these teams 3 years ago. This Lakers team has only kept like LeBron and AD, and they have a coach that's changed. This is not the same Lakers team that played in the bubble. I think they had the most lineup changes in the regular season out of any team, and it was like 35 plus different lineup changes, which is a crazy number.
Yeah,
I think the
large part of
reason
that was just that the struggle that they were going throughout the season. I mean, at the All-Star break, they were a 13th seed, which is at the All-Star break, I thought there was no way in hell the Lakers even make the playoffs. They'll be lucky to make the play-in, and they did make the play-in. There's actually two play-in teams in the conference finals, which did not see it all happening. But I'm glad you brought that up. They are completely different teams, but it's just team like people kind of saying how it's like the same four franchises uh making the finals. I know the Heat have made a lot of changes since then too, obviously with Strus, Vincent, and various other players as well. But you know, as long as they have those main core guys, I feel like they'd be able to lead them to the finals. But
I think the reason why people use what's going on right now in comparison to the bubble is just because some people do argue the legitimacy of that ring. And as long as you don't argue it, then you're right. Yeah, like any normal person could see that these teams are completely different and it's unfair to judge them according to what they were 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. But again, if you are arguing the point of, oh, the bubble didn't mean anything, I think it all it says is that teams can have not great depth and can have not as much success in the regular season and still come out on top is all that that argument kind of means. But I did want to ask you guys, even though it's hypothetical, what do you guys think the future of Boston looks like if they were to lose to the Heat in this series? I mean, and we can be quick about this because it's not, obviously it doesn't. All we can do is talk. But what do you guys think the future of the Celtics organization looks like if that happens?
changes will definitely have to be made. You know, I'd hate to see either Tatum or Brown leave the Celtics. And we're definitely going to touch up on this a little bit later too. With Colin Coward has like a hypothetical trade with the late Celtics and Warriors, and we're gonna, like I said, we're going to touch up on that later. But a change is definitely going to have to be made. Hopefully, people would like to see either Tatum or Brown get traded or one of them leaving. I mean, Brown said himself, if the Celtics don't make a deep playoff run within the next year or two, he's a free agent. I think this summer or next summer, but I could definitely see him leaving. I saw another thing that they could do is get rid of Marcus Smart. I don't know how much I like that. I think Smart's really good for them, but I've read some reports the past couple of days, and the Celtics kind of do have a Marcus Smart issue, and kind of what I mean by that is like an ego issue. I remember the year after the bubble, Sports Illustrated wanted to do like a cover photo shoot with Tatum and Brown, but the Celtics weren't going to allow it to happen without Smart being on the cover as well. They're really behind Smart. I definitely don't see them getting rid of Smart, but we've seen some frustration with Smart last season. With he was complaining about him not getting shots, and he was getting upset with him not getting the final clutch shot in the final moments of the game, which I think is silly. When you have Brown and Tatum there, obviously you're going to give the ball in that situation to one of your two better players, not that green-haired troll. So I think he needs to take a step back. He's not him. But yeah, Celtics would definitely have to make some moves. They have the great team around them, man. They have the depth. All of them play very well with each other. I feel like there's really not much they can do other than just get better and get over that hump and that consistency. They have a big consistency problem. Last year in the finals, Brown was playing out of his mind, but Tatum didn't play that well. But that whole playoff series when they played Brooklyn, Miami, and Milwaukee, Brown wasn't playing that well, but Tatum was playing out of his mind. So those two really need to be on top of their game if they really want to win a finals. And as well as the role players, I really don't feel like they really have a problem. I mean, they know their roles, they stick to it. So it just really relies on Tatum and Brown just staying consistent and doing what they do.
I was gonna say that. I mean, The reason why I posed that question is because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that the Celtics organization can do to improve that team. Like you said, it just really comes down to them getting over the hump because they've proven that they can hang with the best. Now it's just about winning against the best. And right now, the West is basically the best, I would say, because it holds all the big names in the NBA. But what do you think, Victor?
Yeah, like you guys basically covered it all. I mean, there's not much they can do. I think if they do lose this series against the Heat, I think they're gonna go right away to fire the head coach. Seems like that's what every NBA team has been doing. If they lost a series, they just fired Monty Williams, the Suns. I didn't I honestly didn't see that coming. I thought they were gonna keep him, but they're also gonna do some more things this off season. We'll talk about that later as well. But that's all
I
I have
just
to say for the Celtics. I mean, like you guys said, there's not much more they can do, really. They have a great squad, and like Kevin said, they're just not consistent as some of these other NBA teams. Like they both need Tatum and Brown to be doing good if they want to win the finals.
I just got an ESPN notification that said Mo Bamba doubtful for game one. Who the hell cares?
They're
isn't
fucked.
he? Isn't he? Yeah, isn't he a bench player? Like what the fuck?
I don't even know. But what Victor said earlier about the Suns letting go of Monty Williams, horrible move. Monty Williams is easily one of the better coaches in the NBA. But I did see some reports of Monty Williams possibly taking a head coaching job in Milwaukee, which would be awesome because the one thing the Milwaukee Bucks were missing were a good head coach. Yeah, I know Budenholzer, he led them to the best record in the NBA and also won an NBA championship with them. But I thought a large part of that was because of Giannis. When the Bucks do not have Giannis, Budenholzer just straight up doesn't know what to do. He's not a very good coach. He can't just say, "Okay, give the ball to Giannis and everyone get the fuck out of the way." You know, it's a lot deeper than that. So I kind of like that the Celtics got rid of Budenholzer. It was definitely his time. I know the Bucks were missing Giannis for a large part, and they were dealing with a lot of injuries during that Heat series. But that's a team that they should have been able to beat. I thought that was kind of embarrassing that the Bucks lost. They do also have great players outside of Giannis, like Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, as well as Brooke Lopez, and other role players they have as well. I feel like that's something they should have been able to pull together. But I don't know.
No, for sure they should have been able to beat them, but I just think that Jimmy Butler just turns into a different player once playoffs comes. And I saw something too, that he doesn't actually like the title of being a superstar. He, I think Markieff Morris or one of the Morris twins said it that on a podcast that he just wants to go out there hoop and be like that player or like that be that team player that contributes them to having success over night and night for these games, and he just wants to win a ring, honestly.
Yeah, I'd love to see Jimmy Butler win a ring, but with this Heat team, I just don't really see. He definitely needs a lot more help around him. They have consistency issues as well. Bam Adebayo. I mean, he either gets you 20 and 12 or 8 and 4. And unacceptable. Bam's definitely one of the better bigs in the league as well. Their role players have to play as well too. Strus and Vincent really need to knock down their shots. And they're missing Tyler Hero. I know Tyler Hero isn't an amazing player, but he does add that offensive piece that the Heat really do need. Because outside of Jimmy Butler, they don't really have a go-to guy that can go and score.
Kyle Lowry.
Go out there and create shots. Yeah, Kyle Lowry. Yeah, but that's something they can do is get rid of his ass. He's too old. But yeah, while we're on the topic of talking about coaches, JJ Redick is a potential new coach for the Raptors. He did
I brought
interview.
up Kyle Lowry.
What about Kyle Lowry?
He was a Raptor. That's why I brought him up. I'm just fucking around. I'm sorry.
Did he coach the Raptors? Did he coach the Raptors?
Yeah.
Or...
All right, dickhead.
All right, there we go.
Fair enough.
Oh, before I was interrupted, JJ Redick, potential new coach for the Raptors. He interviewed with the team, I think last week. I don't know who else the Raptors have been keeping in the rotation with interviews for the new head coach, but JJ Redick is a head coach. I mean, JJ Redick is very knowledgeable. He has his own podcast as well. Maybe we'll get him on here one day. But I don't know how he'd be as a coach. Obviously, he's very knowledgeable about the game. Just hearing him talk on his podcast as well. Why not give him a shot? But I feel like there's definitely better options as well as with people that can already coach, like Monty Williams and whoever else is available. Hell, maybe even Budenholzer. But I don't think they should have got rid of Nick Nurse in the first place. Nick Nurse is a great coach. He definitely brought that team well. I mean, the fact that he even brought him to a play-in team, I mean, the Raptors don't have that insane amount of talent on their team. So the fact that they were able to compete for a playoff spot this year, I thought was impressive enough with the limited talent that they have. I mean, Van Fleet and Pascal Siakam are great players, but they don't really, those aren't like go-to guys. Those guys aren't going to win you they can't be the number one option on your team. I mean, when they had that same team and then they had a star like Kawhi Leonard there, they were amazing. I mean, they were a great team. But like I said, I definitely don't think that they should have fired Nick Nurse. I think he's a great coach, but what do you guys think about JJ Redick possibly being the new coach for the Raptors?
I think it's would be a refreshing and good move for the Raptors. I think JJ Redick would personally, I don't know. I really like JJ Redick, and he has intense or immense knowledge of the game of basketball. Just listening to his podcast, and just like he just knows so much about the game of basketball, and he knows these plays. He was a good player when he played basketball on the Clippers and the Sixers as well. And I just think he'd bring value to the team. Yeah, he's young, but I just feel like he'd be able to relate to these guys more as well. And he might be like, I don't know, he wouldn't, I don't think he would bring them to like a championship level team because like you said, the Raptors don't have those pieces yet, but maybe in a couple years if they get pieces, then he could make that team into something. But I mean, overall the first couple years, I don't think they're gonna be that good. But I
Yeah,
do
so
think but I do think if they have a good team that he could lead them somewhere.
yeah, I mean, um, like you guys said, JJ Redick obviously has a lot of extensive ball knowledge, and that will play a factor for sure. But he also spent a little bit of time, or a lot of time, in the Eastern Conference, which I think in today's game would give him a little bit of an advantage, maybe coaching the Raptors. I also think that long term, it could he's played with some guys that are currently active today. Like Embiid, that's about all I can name right now. But he's played with guys that are currently in the league right now, and I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that he could potentially recruit players to come play under him. Um, I think his best bet is probably to rebuild and draft well and try to build a good organization up there in Toronto. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I do like the chances of him coaching the team. I don't think it's the same type of situation with Steve Nash that we saw. Um, I think this is a little bit different. I think that JJ Redick understands the position of a coach and he understands kind of how to analyze the game a little bit better than Steve Nash did, just because Steve Nash's transition was from mostly a player to a coach, whereas JJ Redick is coming from a position of an analyst almost of the game, which I think gives him a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, Steve Nash was also had the blessing of taking that coaching job with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving already on his team. So I felt like he could probably, I don't know what he thought, but with that team, he definitely thought that he could run the team swiftly through those two. Unfortunately, that did not work. When I'm watching those Nets games when Kyrie and KD were there, it was basically kind of just like a my turn, your turn situation. He would shoot, then he would shoot, get the role players involved a little bit. Uh, Maybe Steve Nash can make a return as a head coach over one of these teams, but he definitely didn't impress me when he first started coaching the Nets. So hopefully he can bounce back. I'd like to see Steve Nash still hang around the NBA. He's definitely
Have you
passionate.
have you guys seen the picture of Steve Nash gripping the hell out of Durant after that? I think it was like game 6 win. No,
No.
yeah, yeah, I'll show you. Look at the death grip.
But you're,
Can you see that?
yeah.
You got to see the video for all the viewers at home. Go just look up Steve Nash hugging KD. KD like just went on go mode and scored like 45 points in a game to beat out last year. I forget which team at the time, but yeah, Steve Nash just went up to him after the game and bear hugged him because, yeah, I mean, when you're gifted superstars and you don't really know what to do with them, I'd be thanking my stars that they performed well, even when I kind of shit the bed on coaching.
I mean, hopefully with JJ Redick, I think Nash would have done a lot better if he like was in a situation like JJ Redick. If he were to take the situation with the Raptors, with not having stars on his team, kind of figuring out that system, how to get your role players more involved. But like I said, we'll never know. Maybe he can take a head coaching job for the Suns, go back to coaching KD and D Book. They definitely have to make some switches to this season. I mean, it doesn't seem like Ayton wants to be there, as well as maybe going away from Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul is still great. He's still a great veteran point guard that you would want on your team, but NBA season is just simply too long for him. He can't last. I mean, at this point, he's just a liability, just taking up a roster spot. But yeah, there's gonna have to be a lot of moves made this offseason. But one move that would like to be made is hopefully Jonathan Kuminga finding a spot. This is a topic we have talking about too. Is he wants to participate in a lot of the open NBA runs and showcase the league what he can do. I mean, as far as raw talent, that's as good as it gets. Kuminga, he's still young. I mean, he's an NBA champion with the Warriors. He definitely has great experience playing with those guys. I definitely think he could have helped out that Warriors team a lot, especially in this Lakers series. I'm kind of upset that he wasn't given like an opportunity to like showcase what he can do. And he can score from all three levels on the court, and he's a pretty good defender on the wings and guarding the 3-point line. He's big, he's lanky, he's fast, he's young. So hopefully he can find a little bit of a better role with that Warriors team. I mean, he's a great talent. They used the high draft pick on him. I'm kind of upset that I thought Steve Kerr would have given him a little bit more opportunity, considering how much he actually played in last year's playoffs and even last year's NBA Finals. I mean, he found some minutes. I mean, this year in the playoffs, I don't even think he played at all besides getting in there at junk time. But I think they could have definitely used him, especially with some of their other players not playing that well. I mean, Klay Thompson definitely struggled in the second part of that Lakers series, as well as Jordan Poole kind of assing it up out there like he usually does. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Jonathan Kuminga? Hopefully finding a new team, or like I said, I hope he kind of leads like that newer generation for that Warriors team with Jordan Poole and a couple of the young talent pieces that they have.
I think he's a
I think
good player. Oh, you,
go ahead. Go ahead, Victor.
I think he's a great player. Like you said, Kerr didn't really give him his minutes this playoffs and this season, and he's expressed that vocally. Him and Jordan Poole, they were complaining about their minutes, and I don't. I think he probably his best bet is to get out of Golden State if he wants to play more minutes, because Draymond just said on his podcast he's coming back and he wants to be a Warrior for life. And the Warriors organization said as well that if Clay, no, they're gonna keep that three of Clay, Steph, and Draymond because they're still playing good basketball. They're not showing any signs of like serious decline in their game. So they're gonna try to, and they believe that those three can help them like win another championship. So I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon if the Warriors just said that. And I don't know how if Kaminga wants to stay there, he could, but I don't think he wants to ride the bench.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're the Warriors, the emergency alarms are going off a little bit. Not because you have a question of can these guys go back to the finals anymore, or are these guys still good? That's not in question. Clay, I would say Clay has about 2 to 3 years of playing like dog shit before Golden State would ever consider trading him away. And I don't see that happening. I think that he'll play well in the next few years. But for the younger people on that team, I think it could be time to reconsider and reevaluate your position on that team, because Golden State's going to do what they need to do to win a championship again. And like you said, the Golden State Warriors will keep that three together. Well, I don't know about Draymond. Draymond saying he wants to be a Warrior for life is funny because it's like, do the Warriors want Draymond for life? I don't know if they do. That I don't think I would. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where these young guys kind of end up, just because they're clearly proving their value on the Warriors and a championship winning team. But the Warriors proved to the entire NBA that they are flawed, and we all knew that. But I think right now they're vulnerable, right? The slips or the cracks in their game were very visible against the Lakers in that they can't play very well in the paint against bigs. And when they're on the road, it's pretty much a sure thing that the other team's going to win. So, there's a lot of questions to be had over the next few months with the Warriors and kind of that whole ordeal. It'll be interesting to see where Kuminga ends up either staying on the Warriors or leaving and jumping ship.
Yeah, that trio of Curry, Clay, and Draymond. Unfortunately, they're not getting any younger. Curry's 35. I think Clay's like around that same age too, as well as Draymond. I don't really know what they're going to do with Draymond. I think obviously those three are very popular with the Warriors. I mean, they've been there their whole careers. They've won 4 championships, for Christ's sake. But, there comes a time where you do have to make a move. And I feel like if it's going to start with anybody, it might start with Draymond or Clay. They're definitely not going to move on from Curry. Curry's still going out there doing his thing. But we did see it's the same thing with the Celtics, consistency stuff. I mean, with the narrative of Game 6 Clay going out there hooping, apparently Game 6 is like his shit. That's like his alter ego. But the past Game 6, he had like 8 points on like 2 for 20 shooting from the field. That's not very good. I mean, Curry definitely, he's not beating these allegations as well. I mean, he did hit 4 threes against the Lakers, but he put up 15 of them. That's a lot. That's not shooting very well from the field. So a potential trade scenario, Colin Cowherd talked about this on his show or on ESPN, whatever the hell he talks on. And he said a potential trade scenario for the Warriors that they can do is trading Wiggins and Poole for Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon with the Celtics. I really like this trade. I think it benefits both teams very well. First off, with the Celtics, with getting rid of Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon and bringing in Wiggins and Poole, this eliminates that narrative of whose team is it? Is it Brown's team? Is it Tatum's team? Who's the better player? Wiggins is a great player, but he's not as good as Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is a little bit better. So that doesn't bring that question of who's going to get the ball in the final seconds. Is it Tatum or is it Brown? Whose team is it? Wiggins, I think, would fit into this team very well. He's a great defender. He has that experience. He is an NBA champion. And he can also score. I mean, he averaged near 20 points this year. He was an all-star starter. And I think playing on the Celtics team, he would fit right in. And we can probably see his points per game increase to something near that Brown was scoring. So I think he would fit in perfect with that team. Jordan Poole, he's going to need some work. If he can just consistently hit his shots, and hopefully with that Celtics team, I mean, they're a great defensive team, teaching him to play some kind of defense because right now he couldn't guard a cone. But, yeah, I think Wiggins and Poole on that Celtics team would be good. Poole's gameplay would definitely have to play a little bit. His play style right now is perfect for the Warriors with the way that they run off screens and they pass and run. He is, made for that team. The Celtics, though, he can't be doing that. The Celtics, they like to attack downhill a lot more and kick out as opposed to what the Warriors do. They don't really drive in and kick out. They kind of set screens, run corner to corner, as well as flashing up to the middle. So I think that Poole could definitely shine for the Celtics. And then for the Warriors, having Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon, that would definitely help them out as immensely as well. Because having Jaylen Brown there, they do have a guy that can go out there and get them a bucket. Anyway, Jaylen Brown is someone who can score at all 3 levels, the 3, the mid-range, as well as driving in. And I definitely believe that if he did go to the Warriors with Klay Thompson there, he would become that second option and kind of take some leeway off of Klay. Klay is a shot creator, kind of. He tries to be. And sometimes he'll put up some crazy shots that are very questionable. I mean, we saw it in the game with the Lakers when he shot a very deep 3, and Steve Kerr and Draymond looked that they were about sick of it. As well as Malcolm Brogdon can help out that team a lot. Malcolm Brogdon has been amazing for the Celtics coming off the bench, and it makes them. He would definitely be the best guard off of the bench for the Warriors. I mean, he's better than Jordan Poole. He's better than DiVincenzo. He has that experience. So I definitely think that he would be a good player coming off for the bench. So I would like to see this trade happen. It would shake up the NBA a little bit with some familiar faces on some new teams. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this trade?
I think it's very even. You can go ahead, Daniel. My bad.
No, I was just gonna say, I think honestly, I don't think it's enough. Personally, right now, I don't think it's a question of whose team is the Celtics between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that question has been answered multiple times. It's Jason Tatum's team, and I think even the organization has made that clear over the years. But what I will say is that I think the conversation should be had of, these two guys together, they're both superstars. Do we need to have them on the same team so young, or should we separate them and, fill out these other roles with other guys? What I'll say is that I think Jaylen Brown would fit really well on the Warriors, and I would love to see it, but I just don't see that trade going through. Because I don't think that there's really enough that the Warriors could throw at the Celtics to give them Jaylen Brown. I think maybe if we were to do Jordan Poole and Wiggins straightforward for Jaylen Brown, or like you guys said, Brogdon and Jaylen Brown, along with some or Jordan Poole and Wiggins for those two, along with some draft picks or something like that. I could see that working out, but I just don't think that the Celtics are going to be so quick to release Jaylen Brown. They know what they have. They know they have a future young superstar, and it's impossible to know. What do you think, Victor?
Yeah, I like the trade. I think it's a little bit even. I mean, obviously Jaylen Brown's better than Wiggins, but Wiggins has solidified his role with the Warriors. He's picked up his game tremendously, and he's been doing pretty good for the Warriors. But I again, like Daniel said, and I don't know if this trade will go through. I don't think the I think this is just something that Colin Cowherd was talking about on his show, potential trade. I don't ever see it going through. I think Warriors would have to give up a pick or something as well and include it with this. But I think it would be a nice new addition to the Warriors and to the Celtics as well. I think it will benefit both teams.
As far as looking at talent with this trade, I mean, I definitely feel like the Celtics are giving up the better players, but I feel like that's not what this trade is about with kind of getting an even trade. I kind of feel like it's more of like filling those needs for your team and like filling it for the system.
Yeah.
And
I mean, sorry, I was just gonna say real quick, and if they lose again, it could also be like changing the system a little bit, because as we discussed, like there's not really a whole lot they can do right now, but bringing some new faces over could help. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, just the way that the Warriors play, I mean, with when the Lakers beat the Warriors, I mean, the allegations came out of, was the series rigged? The Lakers shot this many free throws, the Warriors shot this many free throws. I believe one game the Warriors shot 42 free throws, or the Lakers shot 42 free throws, and the Lakers shot 42 free throws, and Celtics, or God damn it, Warriors shot like 17 that game, whatever the case was. To me, that makes perfect sense of why one team got more free throws than the other. Like I said earlier, the Lakers like to attack downhill and they play a lot through the paint. The Warriors don't go in the paint at all. They, like they said, they, like we've discussed in our last episode of the podcast, Warriors live and die by the three. And recently they've been dying. I mean, got smacked by the Lakers in that final game. It was kind of embarrassing. Yeah, they were in LA. They're not playing that well on the road, but Klay Thompson putting up 8 points in an elimination game. Wiggins putting up 6. Curry put up 30, but he had to put up 30 shots in order to get those 30 points. So bringing in Jaylen Brown kind of brings in like that spacing and that downhill attack that the Warriors very desperately need, as well as Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon can shoot the three well too, but he also likes to attack downhill as well. And for the Celtics, like I mentioned, Wiggins being a great defender, he attacks downhill, and then Poole being able to float around the three. But like you guys said, a pick probably would have to get thrown in there to make this trade happen. This trade is like a little bit too hypothetical in order for it to happen. I mean, when they talk about trades on TV, they don't really happen. It's all just hypothetical. But I did like how Colin Cowherd kind of put this together. I think it would be a very good trade. And probably not going to happen, but both of these teams, if they do continue to lose in, so let's say if the Celtics don't get it done this year or in years to come, I think this is definitely something that they should look into.
Yeah, well, they're gonna also expect a lot too, since Jaylen Brown just made All NBA.
Yeah, true. And like we mentioned earlier, he's with the frustration with the Celtics not being able to get being able to get it done. The Celtics might not want to get rid of Jaylen Brown. I'm assuming they don't, but he might want out. And if he wants out, if he makes that known to the team, they're definitely going to have to want to get something for him rather than just letting him walk, because you can get a great player like Wiggins and Poole with the trade with Jaylen Brown. letting him walk, you're not going to get anywhere. You're actually going to get a lot worse. So hopefully Jaylen Brown communicates that with them, like, hey, I'm probably not going to re-sign back with you guys if we don't make a run. So exercise some trades.
I actually, now that I think about it, I don't like this Jaylen Brown potential trade. I think the biggest weak spot on the Warriors, even before this season started, I think it was at the start of last season. People were asking questions about what are they going to do on the in the paint because they don't have a big man. And they have like a big man, in I guess you could say Kevon Looney, but not really. You know what I mean? He's not a true center power big man that can defend against the likes of Embiid, Jokic, or AD. Shit, not the Warriors can't even really handle Cat some nights. You know what I mean? So I think that's their biggest weak point, and that's really what they need to focus their attention to because they can get as many goddamn guards as they want. And I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown's a guard; he's a wing player, obviously, but I think they need somebody bigger. I think it is not enough to still have a very, productive offense. You need a power big now. I think that's really the answer to the Warriors having more success in the future. So
I agree.
I actually I go back on what I said. I don't really like Jaylen Brown going to the Warriors.
I agree.
Warriors could definitely use it big. I mean, Kevon Looney plays his role very well. I mean, he goes in there, he grabs board. Unfortunately, just like the way their team's set up with Curry, Clay, Wiggins, and Poole, they don't really need a big man to go in there and score. But with the way that they've been playing recently, they didn't get it done this year. A change might be necessary. Getting a big man in there that can score for you guys, I think could definitely make them very scary. But
To me, real quick, I was gonna say to me it's not even about a big being able to score. It's about a big being able to make the defense think that they're gonna score and be able to pass out to Clay because we've seen that he's the truest sense of catch and shoot that we've ever seen in this league. Dude had 60 points with 6 dribbles on the court. Like unfathomable shit that this dude has been doing. Um and I think that's kind of why I say they need a power big. It's not so much to go and score. It's more or less because I think that would play well through their offense. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again. Just
yeah, I mean, my points were made. I mean, like I said, kind of just switching that narrative. If they could get a big man in there, score, shoot the three, be able to play in the post, that definitely throw a lot of teams off, and it would make that team very scary. But like I said, maybe they come around next year and they get it done. I don't think so. I definitely don't think it's the end of the Warriors dynasty like people have been hoping. I mean, we thought it was the end of the dynasty back in 2019 when they lost to the Raptors. But like I said, I think a switch would be good. But on top of teams making switches, talking about the New York Knicks, this team definitely surprises me every year, as well as they surprise Stephen A. Smith. You saw them snap. You saw Stephen A. Smith just absolutely rip this team apart when they lost to the Miami Heat. Something that I've seen floating around is the Knicks wanting to get Karl Anthony Towns on their team, and this could be what they're missing. I think getting Cat on that team would definitely help a little bit, but Cat doesn't really play like a traditional big, and that's not maybe what they want, but really do. They do have a really good traditional big on their team in Mitchell Robinson. I mean, he plays his role very well too, with grabbing boards, being a defensive anchor. Cat is not someone that's going to be able to bang in the post with guys like Embiid, Jokic, hell, even LeBron or AD. He'll get eaten alive. But yeah, the Knicks. I thought I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of the playoffs. I definitely think that they should have beaten the Heat. Julius Randle straight up assed it up that series. I mean, I think if they want to win, they need to move on from him. Stephen A. Smith couldn't have said it better. He's just not. You're not going to win with him. He's basically like, so when Melo was on the Knicks, people were ripping him apart because the way that he played. Julius Randle plays the exact same way that Melo was playing on the Knicks, except way freaking better. Randle's nowhere near that prime Melo with the way that he shoots too many mid ranges. He'll settle for the three, doesn't swing the rock. But people aren't ripping Julius Randle apart like they were with Melo. But Melo was in a lot worse situation when they made that deep playoff run that one year, I believe in 2012 or 13. I mean, his role players were J.R. Smith, who at the time wasn't a very established shooter like he was when he was with Cleveland. Shumpert was young, and Amari Stoudemire was in and out of the lineup. So what the hell did they expect Melo to do? I mean, who was he going to pass it to? Jarrett Jack? Hell, I would have passed it to him. I'd shoot every goddamn shot like he did. But like I said, I don't think Randle is very good for that team. I mean, watching the games, when his shot wasn't falling, when he wasn't getting his shots, his body language was very poor. Jogging back on defense, it didn't look like he was trying when his shots weren't falling. His defensive effort was not there. And Randle's a great athlete. He's a big guy. He's big body. He definitely should be able to guard bigger guys and be out there and give a lot more of a defensive presence. So, yeah, I think if the Knicks definitely do want to get over that hump, stick what they're doing, maybe move on from Randle, and possibly bring in a big man like Cat. Personally, I'm not too big on Cat. I know he's probably the greatest shooting center of all time. Dude can shoot the lights out. But they do need someone to be able to go in there and play in the post. Mitchell Robinson can do that, but they would have to bring him off the bench. But I don't know. The Knicks are a very interesting team. Jalen Brunson was amazing this year. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't an all-star or didn't make an all-NBA team. He played his heart out in that final game. I believe he had 40 points or near it. I think he had like 38 and like 10 assists. So they definitely have their guy in there at point guard. RJ Barrett has to play a lot better. I mean, he was atrocious in that playoff series as well. But I don't know. What do you guys think the Knicks could do to finally make the finals?
I think if they just like keep that core of Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, like they're good in that area of the guards, but like you said, Julius Randle, they need to move away from him. Like you said, his body language, it shows. It doesn't seem like he really wants to be playing in New York or something. I think if they get Karl Anthony Towns, will be refreshing, and especially if they make a trade with Timberwolves, they might be able to get some more out of that and have role players on that on or like role players coming off the bench as well. And I know Evan Fournier is done with the Knicks. I think he expressed a couple days ago that his season was over a long time ago and that he needs to get out of there and that they're going to move away from him. So definitely some changes for New York this summer, but I think Cat would be refreshing. But like you said, I don't think he'd be that great of a center, like out of all the centers in the league. But he's definitely probably a top five center in the league. So adding them to that team will definitely help.
Um, I don't think with Cat the Knicks would have a chance at the championship. I think that their best course of action over the next few years would be to get some kind of superstar. And I understand maybe you'll say, Karl Anthony Towns is a superstar, but I think when we think of superstars in the league that stick out, it's the ones that have the potential to win a championship. Over the course of the last decade, how many times have you seen a team win the championship without having a superstar that was in the headlines all the time? Curry, Kawhi, KD, LeBron. I think that it's really, really hard for a team like the Knicks to try to win a championship in today's day and age, just having a guy like Karl Anthony Towns. He's had his time on the Timberwolves to prove himself as that guy when it comes to being a superstar. And even this season, it's starting to come into the question, is he even the best guy on their roster? Because of, now guys like Anthony Edwards, couldn't think of his name for a second. But yeah, guys like Anthony Edwards that are really playing out of their mind and really kind of showcasing their skills and making a lot of people wonder, is Cat the go-to guy on this team now?
I think something they should target is like a really good wing player because that's definitely what they're missing. Right now, their wing player is Julius Randle. And with the NBA, the way the NBA today is, I mean, there's a lot of great wings out there that they can get. Unfortunately, like we've been saying past 10 minutes, Julius Randle just isn't that guy. I mean, his shot selection, his body language, they're not going to win with them. So hopefully formulating a trade, hell, maybe they can even make a trade with the Warriors and possibly land Wiggins. Now, would that bring them to the finals? Probably not. But I think they would be a lot better off with a guy like Wiggins, or landing another big superstar on their team. I mean, the Knicks are very notorious for saying like, "Oh, we're getting KD, we're getting Kyrie." We've heard it all the past couple of years with the Knicks saying that they're going to get this guy, that guy. I don't know. Maybe that side talk. That side. No, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. That side
New,
talk, New York.
New York, yeah,
Maybe,
sidewalk New York or something like that.
maybe they can do something to bring a star over. I mean, hell, maybe even KD. I mean, we know he
Right.
likes to switch around. I mean, I don't think he likes it there. Well, I'm not going to say he doesn't like it there in Phoenix too much, but Phoenix is not winning a championship in these next few years. I know they're not, but hell no.
It's a bold
Maybe
statement,
a guy
though.
like KD, maybe attacking a guy like Paul George or Kawhi, getting that really good wing player. There's a lot of good wing players, and there's a lot of good wing players come in upcoming drafts as well. Like I forgot Brandon Miller from Alabama, as well as hopefully making a trade for Wemby or another young piece of talent. But I think going for like a all-star center, they're probably going to be in the same spot, especially if they still have Julius Randle. I think they need to go out there and get like a really, really, really good wing player. Hell, maybe even Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown would make that team very well. I mean, they have their guy in there at point guard, Jalen Brunson. I mean, he played as good as any other point guard in the NBA this year. I'm a big fan of Jalen Brunson. Love how he plays the game. Guy likes to go out there and win. He plays hard. But yeah, for the Knicks to get over that hump, I think they need to go out there and get like a really good wing player rather than putting all their focus in on a center, especially
Yeah,
a center that doesn't like to play down low.
yeah, he wouldn't like I agree. I don't think he'd make that team that much better, like to take him to the finals, but like you said, I think he would make that team a little bit better, slightly better than they with the Julius Randle situation. But I don't know. We'll see what the Knicks do. I doubt this trade would happen. Maybe they'll get a free agent this summer. Probably. Honestly, it seems like the Knicks are probably going to be a one of the choices that these free agents pick this summer. They showcased that they could play basketball and that they could probably go far in the playoffs if they get some more talent.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see the Knicks get it done. I like to root for the Knicks, not so much their fans. I'm more excited for the Knicks players rather than the Knicks fans, but that's a topic for a different day. But on the topics of big men, DeAndre Ayton has likely played his last game for the Suns, as well as Chris Paul. I mean, Ayton did say the other day that he loves being in Phoenix and he wants to continue playing there. I think that's BS. I mean, last offseason, last year, he was a restricted free agent and he actually signed. He actually had a contract signed with the Indiana Pacers. And the Phoenix Suns had 24 hours to match the offer. And if they matched the offer, then he'd be sticking with the Suns and he wouldn't be able to request a trade up until this offseason. And he signed that contract with the Pacers for a reason. He got paid somewhere else. Didn't really want to be with the Knicks. I mean, we see him. I saw a lot of clips this past playoff series when they played the Nuggets with Devin Booker and KD getting on his ass. And for the right reasons. I mean, the dude's going out there scoring 5 points and grabbing not even 10 rebounds. Where for as big as he is, for athletic as he is, and he's a young guy. I mean, as old as he looks ancient. He's a young guy. He should be out there. I mean, he's playing like shit. I couldn't stand it. It bothered me so much. And I saw a lot of clips on Instagram and TikTok. Booker and KD, they were getting on his ass. I mean, good. I mean, they're trying to help him. They're not trying to discourage him. They want to win. But I saw a clip when he was sitting on the bench next to KD and Booker during a timeout, and they were telling him, "Hey, like when Jokic does this, drop. Don't do what you're doing because we're getting eaten alive on the boards." And what does he do? He gets up, walks to the other side of the end of the bench, and he starts pouting. Big grown ass man pouting when people are yelling at him. Man, you don't want a player like that. Like Ayton, he's really disappointed me a lot. He disappointed me a lot these past 2 years. I mean, when they made the finals, he's not playing that good. So I like to think he's played his last game with the Suns. I don't think that they're going to do anything. I mean, he's with that team, with that contract that they matched with the Pacers that the Pacers offered him. He's going to be there another 4 years. I would like to see them make a trade. I think they definitely do need to make a trade. Like I said, they're also that team that needs to get over that hump. I mean, we know they're good enough to make the finals. They did a couple years ago without KD. Now they have KD, but they did get rid of some role players, very important role players like Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, and they really needed those guys. And I think that was a major factor of why they didn't make the finals this year. But now I'm moving on to Chris Paul. I mean, dude's up there in age. the NBA season is just simply too long for Chris Paul. He can't last. And this isn't a recent thing. We saw this when he was playing with the Clippers too, when he was in his prime. He would always get hurt near the end, conference finals. He would always get hurt with that amazing Clippers team, as well as when he was with the Rockets. They were up 3-1 on the Warriors. He got hurt. Warriors came back and won 4-3. NBA season is just simply too long for Chris Paul. He's not sustainable. He's up there in age. He's still playing well, but what's the point if he's not going to be there for the playoffs? So I think with the Suns wanting to get over that hump and be able to make a good finals run, moving on from Ayton and Chris Paul and bringing in other good assets like players like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson really propel them. I mean, they have a big man, Jock Landale. He's not amazing, but he plays his role well. He was playing better than Ayton. He was getting more minutes than Ayton in that series with the Nuggets. And he was playing better, rightfully so. And he was pissed off about that. But I assume him to be pissed off. I mean, it shows he cares a little bit, but they had to do it. He wasn't playing very well. And Jock Landale, whatever the hell his name is, was playing a lot better. But I don't know. Suns definitely need to make some moves, but I don't know what they're going to do. Make trades, make some signings the offseason. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you just chalked this up as fraudulent. I think the Phoenix Suns committed fraud. They led us all to believe that they were a great organization with good players behind them, and it turned out that even with KD, they were incapable of making it to even the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, that's a joke. I don't know. I mean, it sucks because I did kind of want to see. I think Chris Paul did deserve his moment, at least to play in the finals and to try to compete to win. But when given a shot the way that the Suns did with getting KD, that was huge. I mean, that was pretty much the Hail Mary that they needed to win themselves a championship. And I mean, it doesn't help that the Lakers turned over a new leaf and became a completely different team overnight. And then Jokic and that Nuggets team, they were playing really well together. And they've been playing well this whole season. So, that wasn't really a surprise. But yeah, this is a huge blow to the knees for the Suns organization, because now you have to reevaluate everything, right? Chris Paul's position on that team, Ayton's, also Devin Booker, and what the next year looks like if KD leaves, because then Devin Booker's completely alone. And you can argue all you want that Cameron Payne is going to help him out, but that's bullshit. So we'll just have to see.
I think they'll try this out one more time with KD and Booker, but I do see them walking away from Ayton. It seems like he's doesn't want to be in Phoenix, like Kevin said, and I think he had problems with the head coach as well. Was it last season? Do you remember what I'm talking about, Kevin? Or
Yeah, I mean, him and Monty Williams got into it a lot last season, and even this season too. I mean, we saw it a lot too, but maybe that can change it up, but I don't think so. I mean, with the head coach being there or not, I think he's still going to play like garbage.
no, yeah, true. I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing too. He's a former number one overall pick as well, and he's gonna be playing like this. It sucks that the Suns wasted a pick on him, but we'll see what they do. I think they'll make some big roster changes to build around KD and Booker. They want to win a championship. I think if they don't win it next year, I think they're walking away from KD or Booker.
Yeah, I don't know how many more years KD has on that contract. I mean, obviously he was traded from Brooklyn, but like Daniel said, bringing in KD was massive. I mean, they have Chris Paul, KD, and Booker. Well, pretty much just Booker and KD, because Chris Paul's knees expired pretty much near the same time every single year. But yeah, I mean, with bringing in KD, they also paid a big price, getting rid of Mikal Bridges and getting rid of Cam Johnson. Those guys were great for that Suns team. Definition of 3-and-D players that can really knock it down. And we see what Mikal Bridges is doing on a team where he's practically by himself. When he was on Brooklyn from the second half of the season, he was putting up 25 plus a game, as well as he was getting his steals. And every year for the past couple of years, he's always been a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Why wouldn't you want that guy on your team? But in order to get KD, that's what you have to give up. maybe possibly with free agency, they could possibly bring him back. I'm sure he'd be happy to, obviously playing with KD and Booker again. I mean, he loved being in Phoenix. He made the finals with them, as well as Cam Johnson. But yeah, bringing in a guy like KD, you're going to pay a price. And they did.
God, man, I can see it now. The headlines all over the place. KD back to the Warriors. I can see it now, man. I don't see KD. Okay, fair credit. Maybe he won't go back to the Warriors, but I do not see KD staying even for another year on the Suns. I may be wrong, and I probably am wrong actually. Like I would never put money on this because the odds are 100 to 1. But I think from my perspective, what KD saw from that team, he wasn't impressed with. He got there, he played with them, and for as good of a player as he is, and for as good as a player Chris Paul and well, not Chris Paul as we mentioned, but Devin Booker is, they couldn't do anything. And I think you can tell pretty early on in an organization whether or not you're going to be successful there. I would think, KD's jumped ship and changed teams so many times. I could get an ESPN notification right now saying KD to the Guangdong Tigers, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But I think that he will jump ship. If not right away, right now, definitely at the end of next season. Because I don't see the Suns winning a championship even with KD, no matter what they do.
Well, we gotta credit the Nuggets as well. They were a great team. They played a hell of a team. This is the best Nuggets team we've seen in recent years, and a lot of people discredit the Nuggets. KD even said they're well coached. They play great, and it was just a good team. They outplayed the Suns this series. The Suns had injuries with Chris Paul and Ayton as well late in the series, but overall the Nuggets were a good team. And yeah, KD and Booker were on that team. They should have probably beat them, but then again, Nuggets are a great team, and we can't discredit them for that. And I wanted to say too about Ayton as well. I I saw something DeMar DeRozan and Paul George were talking about on Paul George's podcast that there's NBA players in the league that don't really like basketball and they're just doing it for like everything that comes with the game, playing the game of basketball. So do you guys think that Ayton is one of those guys that they're talking about?
It's definitely possible. I mean, he's a young guy. I mean, all that money that he was making in such a short amount of time, I think it's definitely played a factor. But I mean, he seems like a passionate guy for the team. But then again, looking back on Aiden's college days, he couldn't even get it done in college. When he played 1 year at college, his freshman year at Arizona, they were a 2 seed in the March Madness tournament, and they lost to a 15 seed. So Aiton being on good teams and not living up to expectations, it's not really a new thing. So it's a possibility. I mean, these players make a lot of money nowadays. They don't really, with all the money they're making, they don't really have an incentive to be great anymore because they're going to get paid regardless. I mean, all you need is one decent season to get a goddamn max contract. Hell, they're talking about giving Austin Reeves 80 million next year. Now, Reeves is really good. Don't get me wrong.
He
But
ain't worth
80
no
million?
damn 80 million. He is
Yeah,
not
bro,
worth 80 million.
like 80 million is crazy. Reeves is really good. I mean, here's the thing: if Austin Reeves gets paid 80 million somewhere else, he goes to Portland or wherever the hell he goes, you're never gonna hear about that guy again. We're hearing about Austin Reeves a lot because he's on the LA Lakers. I mean, everyone knows the Lakers. People that don't even watch basketball, they can tell you who the Lakers are. And he's playing with LeBron. He has a great team around him. He's going to be better. So
Great
guys like
players make players around them great. LeBron
that,
did that for Austin Reeves, and like you said, the moment Austin Reeves leaves, his career is not the same.
yeah, you're not going to hear about it again. But guess what? You think he gives a shit? He's got $80 million in his bank. He's getting paid 20 million a year for 4 years. That's nice. That's very hard to pass up. Shit, I wouldn't pass up. If I was on a championship team and I got offered $80 million somewhere else, you bet your ass I'd take it. That's generational money right there. And I think we're going to see that a lot with college athletes too. I mean, it's really cool that the college players are making all this NIL money, but with these college kids making millions of dollars in college, they don't have an incentive to get better. They're already getting paid. They don't need to be millionaires to. They don't even have to make it to the league anymore to be millionaires. Look at Bronny. However much he's getting paid. What was it, like 7 million? He hasn't
Yeah.
even stepped on the court yet. We don't even know if he's going to be good. I think Bronny's going to be great, but hell, he's already getting $7 million in his bank account. These players are getting paid a lot of money nowadays. It's outrageous. All you need is one good season. And when you see when a player gets paid the next season, they're not that good. Prime example, Jordan Poole. He got paid over the offseason. And he averaged 20 points, but he wasn't playing that well. He still can't defend. He's putting up a lot of crazy shots, and he's putting up a lot of shots. He's not very efficient. Another example, Zach LaVine. Hate to say this, I'm a Bulls fan, die hard, but Zach LaVine got paid a lot this past offseason, and he did not play very well this season. So yeah, I think what DeMar DeRozan and Paul George said was very accurate. I mean, when you're getting paid this much money, you don't really got an incentive to get much better. All the money on the NBA contracts is guaranteed. It's not like NFL where you sign an $80 million contract, but 20 million that's only guaranteed. When you sign that $80 million contract, you're going to get $80 million. Obviously, assuming taxes and all that, but we're not going to get into that. So yeah,
Yeah. And we're already seeing it too with I know it's kind of different, but with the WNBA, but Angel Reese, she said that she's not gonna go to WNBA just yet because she's making a ton of money playing at LSU with the NIL deals. So we're probably gonna see that more and more, maybe um college athletes who aren't that great enough to be one and done, to be playing in college still and making that amount of money.
You know what's kind of crazy though? She that if I was a female athlete, I would definitely stay in college too,
oh,
because I would say that UCLA. That's where you said she plays, right? UCLA,
LSU.
LSU. Okay, even more. LSU as an organization is bigger than any WNBA team I would say that exists out there.
sure.
And that pulls a lot of attention. So if they make it far into their March Madness bracket and tournament, yeah, she's probably going to get a lot more attention than if she drops 45 in an Atlanta Sparks game. I took a complete guess at a WNBA team. I think there's a team called Sparks. I don't think they're from Atlanta.
Los
Um,
Angeles.
okay, thank you. The Los Angeles Sparks. She's not going to get as much recognition over there. You know what I mean? Because not that many people watch professional women's basketball, but a lot of people will tune into college sports in general. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think that's smart on her for sure to stay there.
Shit, why would she? Honestly, I would do the same thing if I was her. She's getting paid stupid money at LSU, as well as a bunch of other female college athletes and just college athletes in general. They have an incentive to stay in college a lot longer because they're getting paid crazy money. They might not get that money if they go to the pros, or it's not going to be sustainable. They're building their brand in college and it's going crazy. I mean, we see a lot of players now, college athletes and NBA players, having a lot of side quests. They're building up their brand on social media, podcasts, brand deals. Like they're just making so much money. They don't have that incentive to get better anymore, which I don't really like. And I know a lot of people have a problem with college players going one and done, but that's probably going to start slowing down here in the next couple of years because all the money that they're making in college. Now, I don't know if that's true. Obviously, there's a lot of players that still want to get to the NBA and be great, and they're going to make way more money here than they could in college. But smart moves that they're making, like Angel Reese, like Victor said, and that's a great decision that she made. She's not going to be making anything near that she would in the NBA as she's making in college. And more people know what LSU is. There's people out there that couldn't even name a WNBA team. I could probably name you a few at best.
Yeah,
A good day.
It
I
is
mean
growing more in popularity, though. I'll say that.
Yeah,
WNBA.
true. But
The
like,
only way that the WNBA reaches the same level of success as the NBA is if women start tuning into watching the sport. Like that's 100% the answer to it. And
You're not wrong.
no, because it's the truth. I mean, if you look at the viewership of the NBA, what are you going to see? 97% all male. I mean, that number is probably a little thrown off, but it's definitely up there. So if the WNBA wants to increase its viewership, that's what they should do. Um, there's a reason why certain television shows are more popular with men and why they're so successful. Breaking Bad, no, that's Breaking Bad isn't a good example. But there are examples of shows out there that are purely successful because of one demographic watching it. And I think that's ultimately what needs to happen with the WNBA. What I was gonna say, oh my god, I forgot now. It was something about NBA players.
You don't say.
Yeah, right. Wait, what were we talking about? We're talking about NIL. Oh, I was gonna say, okay, this is what I was gonna say. I think eventually one of the shoes has to drop. I think that, or however that expression goes, the foot or the shoe, whatever the hell. I don't see that long term being sustainable for the exact reason that we're talking about right now, which is that in the future, how much enjoyment are the fans going to get out of watching a bunch of multi-millionaires running around playing a pickup game? It's not going to be that much fun. So I think there will be some change that will definitely happen. I think the NIL deals got introduced and they're great for athletes, and it's an opportunity for athletes to go into college making a crap ton of money. But I think they'll regulate it. I think in the future they'll definitely bring it down because players like Bronny, even though he's LeBron James' name, an 18-year-old, should they ever be really awarded $7 million? I don't know. Maybe not.
It's not going anywhere, bro. This is not only making the college athletes money, this is also making the brands money as well that's promoting them. And this is going to be, it's projected to be $1 billion industry. So we're not seeing this going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think they'll reduce it at all.
I don't think so either, man. I mean, like you said, these colleges are making money too, as well as these companies that are like endorsing these athletes. I mean, we're just going to see these players getting paid more. I mean, this has only been a thing for a couple of years now. Like, and Bronny, I believe he's the highest paid NIL athlete at 7 million. A couple of years down the road, when we see very impressive college athletes, football, basketball, whatever the case, they're going to be making as much money as professional athletes. Hell, some of them already even are. Like Bronny's already making more money than some 13th men on NBA teams. Not much more because those guys are still millionaires, but it's going to get to that point. And I don't know, makes me nervous a little bit with the talent that's going to be in the NBA and NFL, whatever the case, in the next decade or so.
I think there'll be a bigger calling for greatness. I think that there'll be a more individuals will want to be great in a league that already has so many great players. Because right now, I personally think this is the most enjoyable that the NBA has been in probably the last 12 years. Nah, maybe 10. Um, but it's been a while since the NBA was this close from first seed all the way down to the 10th seed. It was neck and neck the entire time. So I think that, like I said, in a day and age in an NBA league where you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, those are two superstars. Joel Embiid and James Harden, those are two. LeBron James and AD, Curry and Clay, Embiid, or not Embiid, but KD and Booker. You have so many teams with absolutely phenomenal players that the skill level, I think, will just only go up. And eventually there's going to be another unicorn that comes out that just makes everyone else look stupid. Or maybe this is the last of them. Maybe LeBron James is the last GOAT of our generation, of any generation, but we'll see. I don't know. I just don't see NBA teams responding well to sponsorship deals and basically losing money to college athletes. And maybe there's enough room, and maybe this NIL situation is a completely new sector of income or revenue that these companies can produce. But if it's not, and they're having to take away from their sponsorships with the NBA, that poses a huge, huge problem for all of the parties involved, both NBA players or college athletes transitioning to professional and professional athletes when they're already in term and the organization.
I don't really think it will because honestly, it's kind of like if you think about it, it's kind of like a job promotion for these athletes. If once they get to the NBA, they're going to be making more money than they did in college. Yeah, they're making a lot of money in college right now with these NIL deals, but once they get that college or once they get that NBA contract on top of that, it's like a bonus for them. So I don't think this is gonna pose any threats or anything like that.
You guys want to hit on our last topic?
Unfortunately, yeah. So wrapping up today's episode, Ja Wick is back at it again. Got suspended by the Grizzlies because he once again flashed a gun on Instagram Live, whatever the hell it was. Don't really care. But yeah, I mean, this, like I said, there's really not much to say on it. Dude's a moron. He's the first player trying to make it out the NBA, first player trying to fumble a $200 million contract rather than getting it. And I've seen a lot of people blaming his friend for recording him. But here's what I'm saying. If you saw the video, John Morant was very aware that he was being recorded. Before he flashed the gun again, he was looking at the camera, singing, doing this and that. And he still decided to do this with his gun. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm getting sick and tired of this moron, like, just doing dumb shit over and over again. Like, again, I don't think he's going to get suspended for a whole season. 20 games at the start of the season is probably what I expect, but I don't know. What do you guys think of this bozo?
So when I woke up, I think it was yesterday it happened, and I checked my phone, and I know a couple podcasts ago we were talking. Daniel mentioned like butt crack sports or whatever, and I thought it was one of those. I was like, why is this like resurfacing again? And I thought it was fake, and it turns out it wasn't fake, and I just couldn't believe that it would happen again. And this isn't his first time getting in trouble. We've talked about in the previous podcast, and I'm sure everybody knows with the Pacers incident, and then the Foot Locker or Finish Line one, whatever one it was. And then on top of that, when he played the college recruit in a pickup basketball game, that happened as well. And I think the league will suspend him. I saw Stephen A saying that they're gonna try to suspend him, probably maybe even the whole season, because the NBA is a private entity and they don't want this type of behavior being represented for the brand. They associate it with as a negative image, and it kind of is. And they want to like show the message to all the players that if you do this, you're gonna get suspended this long. So that's why I think the route that they're going to take. And if you guys haven't seen Kawami Brown talk about like Ja doing this again, you guys should watch it. I thought it was funny, and he was honestly speaking facts too about how Ja Morant messed up.
Yeah. So with the John Morant situation, he's a moron, plain and simple. I'm kind of upset that they didn't give him more repercussions when he first did it. I mean, I can understand, okay, first chance, you get a flyby, it wasn't as bad as maybe everyone thought. He was just being a 20-some-year-old normal. But then you do it again. And not only that, when I watched the video, not only like Kevin said, did he know that he was being recorded, he clearly does that all the time. Where whenever YAB or who was he singing to?
NBA YoungBoy.
NBA YoungBoy. Whenever NBA YoungBoy comes on, dude just pulls out his gun to dance. Like that's his prop, right? Whenever he starts dancing, instead of throwing his hands in the air or doing something else, he pulls out his gun to flex it. So obviously he's already still doing this kind of activity, and he doesn't understand that it's not that you got caught with the gun, it's that you're acting like you're a gangster when you're an asset to an NBA team worth $200 million. You know what I mean? So he's just being stupid. I mean, he has a perfectly good opportunity in front of him, and he wants to play gangbanger for some reason, which I think is just stupid. Um, I don't know. I mean, like I said, if it was any other person dancing on live with their gun, who the hell cares? But you are not any other person, right? You're richer than 99% of people on this planet. You can't act like you're about a life that you're not. And he's gotten into trouble. I don't know if you guys have seen the stuff of him throwing up Crips like during games and stuff like that, but there was some Crip gang members that were kind of saying like, oh yeah, next time he comes to LA, like it's on site or some shit like that. I don't know. I think an appropriate suspension, if I had to give one, would be somewhere in the range of, probably, I'd say anywhere from, I could see them suspending him till the All-Star break. I could see that happening, or right before the All-Star break in December. Um, I could see both of those things happening, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see something get done. I mean, it seems like he's the only NBA player that's had this issue, and he did it again. So clearly, all that European camp that he went to was for no reason. But hopefully, it matures. I mean, he's a great talent. I'd hate to see him get suspended, but he's just becoming hard to like. I mean, I do like John Moran. He's very fun to watch, but if he's gonna keep acting like a fool, then just so be it. But this has been another episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. We appreciate you guys coming back once again. Follow all of our socials at Good Morning Let's Basketball, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as well as Spotify, as well as our personals. And we see you guys next week. Cheers.
Tonight.